Good morning, everybody. Good evening to some. I'll wait till it gets connected to you. I think it's kind of slow today. Hi, all. Thanks for connecting. Good morning, everybody, and good evening to some of you. Welcome again to multiplesclerosis.awareness weekly show. Today, we are going to have a very special guest on our show, and he's going to talk about very special things that you have never heard before. We're going to talk about mitochondria, we're going to talk about red infrared light, we're going to talk about organic tests, and so many fun stuff. Well, I'm not going to take much of a time. I'm going to invite Dr. Jaban Moore directly and will speak to you. And I'm sure you must be ready with your questions. So many questions. So I'm connecting to Doctor. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a rainy day here in the middle of the U.S.
Really? It's raining here too, madly.
All
So
right.
how is coronavirus fever going on there? Is everything normal?
Oh, as normal as it can be. I mean, we're all out doing normal things. It doesn't even seem like it's really happening that much besides a little bit of masks.
Really? So here, we are getting around 75,000 cases every day,
Mm.
and it's kind of scary still.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't left my home since last 5 months now.
Oh my gosh. That's a long
Yeah, it's
time.
it's scary and it's crazy, driving you mad. But trust me, this is time I've been more social than ever, so I'm enjoying it also. Well, I
Yeah, I
have
say.
to firstly thank you for inviting this invitation at a very short notice. And, I shared your profile on the page and everybody went through your profile and everybody wanted to meet you. They all were excited to know more from you, and everybody must be ready with their questions. So many questions to ask you. So before we proceed, Doctor, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Jaban Moore, and my background was I went through training to be more of a sports med doc, and I ended up getting Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And once I got Lyme disease, it just took me down this journey of trying to understand why my body was shutting down, why I was having fatigue and pain. And it led me to working with Lyme disease patients. And when these people come in, they have every number of chronic illness, but nerve issues are one of the most common. So I've seen a lot of multiple sclerosis. I've seen a lot of people with seizures and losing the ability to control certain parts of their body and numbness and tingling. And I've seen a lot of recoveries from that just simply by getting some of these bugs out. So MS is definitely something that has been an interest of mine, even to see clients of mine who have gotten MRIs where we see lots of spotting, and over time spotting stopping, and even in some very amazing times seeing some regression.
So since how long have you got this Lyme disease, if you don't mind?
Well, I don't know how long I have had it, but found out about Lyme disease while I was in school, while I was going through my training, and
Oh my
that was
God.
back in 2012. So I was
Oh,
on the search of trying to find someone who could help me. And with Lyme disease, it typically takes, I don't know, 20 different doctors before you're going to be able to find someone who's going to be able to help you. And in my experience, after having all of these doctors and running around and trying to get help, I finally drove up to Wisconsin. And after about a year of working with Dr. Alan Lindsley, I was able to get to the point where I feel like, I haven't really had symptoms. I haven't had to treat ever since.
oh my God. And Doctor, you know what? I've been seeing that so many people from US that we talk to are having Lyme disease. And I have also noticed that many of them have MS and Lyme disease both.
Hmm.
Is there any kind of correlationship between them? How is it like? So many people are having it nowadays.
Yeah, there is actually a correlation. So I looked up PubMed a long time ago when I first started getting a lot of MS people in, and there was some studies that showed that Lyme spirochetes, which is a type of bacteria, can get into the brain within 12 hours. And when they do autopsies on people with MS, they're actually finding that many people with MS have those spirochetes in their brain, in their tissue, especially in the white spots.
Okay. Oh my God. This is something new. Okay, that's why so many people are actually complaining of Lyme and MS. What do you think? Having Lyme and MS together, is it too difficult to balance two diseases in the body? Because as I was talking to one of the MS patients, she also happened to have Lyme. She said,
Mm,
for Lyme, I want to have use heat pad. And when I use heat pad, it's bad for MS. So it's
mm.
difficult to manage both the things.
My opinion is MS is a symptom of some sort of root cause. So if you have Lyme, Lyme may be triggering MS, or honestly, there's also studies showing that nematodes, which are a type of parasite, are also in very high correlation with MS. So when we're talking about an autoimmune or a physiological disease, which MS is,
Right.
for me, I'm going, well, the body's not just stripping down the nerves, demyelinating them for fun. It's not just happening because you're alive and well. No, it's happening because there's something going on, and that something could be Lyme, it could be MS, it could be mercury. So for me, it's what is the root cause of MS? How do we remove that root cause so that the body can either shut down the processes or, in a very amazing way. Sometimes, like I said, I've seen MRIs where people come in, they're like, look, my MRI is different. It's better.
Yes. So, what do you think, doctor? How are, like you mentioned, about parasites? How is parasites related to MS?
Yeah, so very similarly to Lyme, when I was looking through studies, there were studies showing that those nematodes were in the brain and damaging brain tissue, and especially in the pockets and areas where we had a lot of demyelinization. So with parasites, what they do is they can get into your body, and
Okay.
their job is to multiply and to make more of themselves. While they're doing that, they have waste, and that waste is neurotoxic. So
Oh,
it circulates through the body, and those neurotoxins can actually damage tissue, especially brain tissue, because once something crosses the blood-brain barrier and gets into the brain, then it's very difficult to get out. And you also don't have nearly the same lymphatic flow. You don't have the same type of immune system in your brain. You do have both, but it's not quite the same. So if we're dealing with someone with neurological Lyme or neurological parasite or neurological toxicity,
mhm.
we've got to really work to get the rest of the body cleaned out, because so often with MS, we have people with clogged up drainage pathways. So we've got poor digestion, or we have constipation. Things start to
Yes.
slow down, which then leaves you more toxic. And now it's an accumulation of multiple problems, such as the toxins, the infections, and you have the degeneration of the brain, which then slows down the other pieces.
Right. So that's why detoxing the body is very much important for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. If you're not going to the bathroom, that is step one all around. You must go to the bathroom every single day and fully. It is never acceptable to go less than once a day. Ideally, we go a few times a day, but that is just the beginning of detox, and it's a must. If you have MS, then we need to be looking for those root causes. We need to be getting out the toxins and infections. And if you're not focusing on that, and we're just focusing on what medication is next, then we're not looking at what the root of this is. We're just trying to slow things down, which is okay to slow things down as long as we're getting to the root of it.
Right. So, doctor, I know that so many MS patients, they all complain about constipation problem, bladder problem. So, if someone complains about that, what will be your suggestion that they should eat or they should do to the body so that they do not complain of this very often?
Well, we'll start with constipation, because honestly, those two are very different for me. So if it's constipation, step one is just to get it moving. So I have different things that I like to use. So I use Aloe 450, I use bowel mover, I use magnesium citrate or oxide. All of those are great tools for us to use, and they allow for us to take those next steps forward. Whereas for the bladder can get a little bit more complicated, because if we are detoxing, or if you're toxic, you have high oxalates. You could have high amounts of acetaldehyde or ammonia. And to make sure that that's not irritating your bladder, we have to put some kind of binder in that will bind those up, or avoid oxalates in our diet. So I get a lot of burning pain from patients that are coming in. So with that burning pain, that's when I run that organic acid test you talked about earlier, to see, do we have some kind of oxalate overload that's going on whenever your urinalysis is testing negative for things like bacteria and yeast.
But how is this organic acid test is exactly done? And should
So,
everybody be going through it?
you know, it is one of my favorite tests. It's actually become one of my standards. So the organic acid test is a urine test. It's mailed to your home. You just pee in the cup. You send it back to the lab sends you your results. So it's so easy. Even for people that are in lockdown still, it's become my favorite test for this whole virus situation, because I don't have to send you into a lab. And should everybody do it? You know, I'll let everybody else answer that for themselves. But here's it's going to test. Molds can be so detrimental to anybody's health, especially people with multiple sclerosis, because it's overwhelming and immunosuppressive. So it lets all these other organisms take off in your body. But it's also testing for yeast, many bacterial overgrowths, oxalates, which I was talking about for the urinary issue, but oxalates also can increase anxiety and pain. So it's gonna, oxalates can be multiple in their symptom causing background. We also have in that the mitochondria. It is incredibly important to know how your energy system is working when you're going through a treatment plan, especially from the start. So if you're looking at glycolysis, your Krebs cycle, all three of your different energy systems, and you're seeing a lot of markers off, your ability to heal, your ability to coordinate your immune system, it's not going to be working properly. So organic acid test is one of the few tests that I see that actually test for that. Tests for nutrient absorption, neurotransmitters, so why are you anxious or depressed, along with amino acid absorption, detoxification pathways. There's 77 different tests. One that is how many minerals are you absorbing. So for me, it's just a great beginning point to understand where we're starting and what your capacity for healing is. Or do I need to just simply build your body up before we can really go in and get going after some of these infections?
Okay, so everybody should take this test before trying out anything. Even for detoxing, they should first take this and understand their body first.
You know, it's my start point. When you have a first client visit with me, I get all the history. I get all of your previous labs. I get all the things that you've tried. That's one of the most important things that I ask, that people are shocked at. I'm like, what is everything you've ever done? And did it work? Did it not work? Did it help for a minute? What was your reaction? And that's when I start making decisions on, can we start detox while waiting on the lab? Because as you know, everybody that's calling in is like, I want to be better yesterday. It's an emergency. This is a crisis. Can we start, 2 months ago? And I'm like, I got to get to know you, but based off of the information you give me, sometimes if you're constipated, I start immediately with fixing the bottom of that drainage funnel. So we go after colon and liver while I'm waiting on the lab results. So it's not always that I have to just completely wait, but I don't want to go after anything aggressive until I have that test back.
Okay, that's fair. Doctor, talking about mitochondria, so what is actually the role of mitochondria? What are the mitochondrial abnormalities that we can talk about? And how does it, is related to fatigue?
Yeah, so mitochondria are your powerhouse. So that's what we learned in school is they create energy. So your mitochondria are where those energy systems that I talked about on the oat are done. If your mitochondria are broken down, you're not going to have energy to get up and do activities in life, but you're also not going to have the ability to heal your own body. You're not going to have the ability to produce immune reactions, because the mitochondria also regulate the immune system. So if you really look at mitochondrial function, they not only control the immune system, they also control energy, which as a person with MS, if that single piece of your body isn't working, there's no way we're going to heal. But more so than that, MS is a brain issue, right? So that's what we've put out there in literature, is it's the brain demyelinating. Well, there are 10,000 mitochondria per every single cell in the brain. Whereas like your muscle tissue, there's only 500 to 1,000. Your heart, there's only 5,000. And your liver, there's about 2,000. So the brain is full of mitochondria. So we have to make sure to focus on mitochondria with clients with MS. But as you're working through the mitochondria, it also accumulates toxicity. So when I see on an organic acid test a lot of dysfunction, I immediately tell somebody, one, do you have any concern of mold? Two, do we have any concern of heavy metals? Which many, 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 and most people have metal situations going on in their bodies because it's in pesticides and herbicides, it's in food supplies, it's in water supplies, it's all over the place. You know, if you're on well water, is it there? So metal, I almost just think that everybody's dealing with some level of metal, which is not testable by blood, by the way. So don't look at those tests. It's testable best by someone who you've got your detox and drainage already going, and then we run a hair mineral about 90 days later, because that's when you're going to see stuff start to come out. But as far as mold, if I see that organic acid test where you're just from top to bottom having issues on your energy system, I'm going, we're looking for mold right now. And more often than not, we find it. And that's what shut down your mitochondria so badly that now you're having mast cell, you're having eosinophilias, you're having these highly reactive situations.
Okay. Doctor, talking about the heavy metals that you're talking about, and I saw one of your videos where you said metal like aluminum, you know, that we are using in everyday household, like aluminum foil, can also be bad for our health. So can you just tell us a little about that? What kind of metals we are using in the everyday household, and how should we be aware of using those to a limitation?
Well, yeah, we know that metals, especially elemental metals that are not normal in our environments, so that are not organic. Elemental metals can be very damaging because they will adhere to receptors. So aluminum, mercury, lead, these are kind of the bigger ones. Arsenic's out there, cadmium's out there, but aluminum is being put into things such as vaccinations for children. It's in especially our cookware. It's in pop cans, like you were saying. And when this gets into our body, it's definitely neurotoxic. They did some studies where they took and they opened up the brain of people that were having Alzheimer's and dementia and many other neurodegenerative diseases, and 100% had a toxic level of metals in their brain when they went and actually did that autopsy. So we know it's in there. We don't know exactly the correlation specifically of the damaging roles, but I can tell you without a doubt with clients that I work with that have high levels of metal, they almost always have also high levels of a lot of brain symptoms. So they're your brain fog, they're having lots of anxiety and depression, memory losses. So I know that that's happening just from a personal level. We know that the scientific journals say that there's toxic levels of all of this, so we want to stay away from it. And we know that it knocks down the function of different receptors in the body. So mercury has been found in numerous studies to bind to the receptors on your thyroid. So the thyroid is extremely well studied because they can cut it out and you can still live. So they cut out Hashimoto's thyroids, and then they look at the receptors and they find that there's mercury actually attached to the receptors, creating autoimmune reactions to it. So if you have mercury in your brain, what's to say it's not attacking and doing the same thing? Or if you have aluminum in your brain and it's attached to receptors in your brain, blocking up synapses, or attached to an MS, your myelin sheath, maybe that's why the immune system's attacking and destroying that myelin sheath, because possibly we have metal on it. So, you know, I'm kind of extrapolating potential right now of ideas, but there's so much going on with toxins in our environment that when you start getting people to avoid toxins, so going organic with your food, using clean Tupperwares, non-plastic glass Tupperwares, and using ceramic pots and pans, they report back to me and they said, just simply from doing I have a thing on my website that says 10 steps to detox. They're like, just simply from doing that, I feel more energy. I feel a little bit better. It's not the cure to something. It's just simply removing your toxic environment can increase the vitality of your life.
Wow, that's really eye-opening. Actually, we are using so many kind of metals in our daily household, in the kitchen, and without knowing that they can be toxic to our body, which is a very good point here. Doctor, when you were talking about thyroid, the question came to my mind was, many MS patients, they have to undergo test of thyroids very regularly, and they can suffer with thyroids quite often. So what do
Mhm.
you think, what is the relationship between MS and thyroid problems?
Well, MS being an autoimmune situation um, kind of shows that the immune system isn't regulating properly. And thyroid, when studied, 80% of all thyroids actually show positive for autoimmunity when they have an issue. So if you test hypothyroid people and you actually go through and do all of the 9 different tests that I run for the thyroid, 80% of the time we find Hashimoto's thyroid, which is autoimmune thyroid. So if you have one autoimmunity, I believe it was Harvard that did a study that said if you have one autoimmunity, likely you have 3. So 1 leads to 3. So then one of the most common ones that you can find is thyroid. Well, you also have the brain that controls the thyroid. So the brain, the hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland both have to be operating normally for the thyroid to get its signal and then send out the hormone into your body. So now we know that the brain has to be healthy to control the thyroid. And if you have an autoimmunity, MS, that you are likely to have another one, which could be the thyroid. So my biggest piece of advice out there to any MS person dealing with thyroid is make sure you're having a full thyroid panel ran. Absolutely make sure you're getting thyroid peroxidase antibody ran, thyroglobulin antibody ran, and then with that, run your reverse T3, because these are going to give you a lot of great information about your thyroid. And that's only 3 of the 9 tests I run. If I wanted to run through the rest, it would be TSH, T3, T4 free. And then you'd run T3 and T4 totals, along with thyroid uptake, reverse, TPO, and TG, which are the antibodies there. So make sure you run a full thyroid, because if you're not, then you're not getting all the information that you want to get about your thyroid and how to optimize it. Because the thyroid, even if the brain is telling the thyroid to work properly, so you have a proper healthy brain, it's telling the thyroid to work properly, it's not autoimmune, the hormones that the thyroid release, which is T3 and T4, the T4 is what you primarily make. And T4 is 96% of the production from the thyroid. It is a casino chip. It doesn't actually work in your body. It doesn't do anything. You have to send that casino chip, that non-functioning hormone, down to your liver and your digestive tract, where it gets converted into T3, which is your active hormone. And without that conversion happening properly, which means that you have a healthy liver and a healthy digestive tract, which we just said earlier, many MS people are dealing with a lot of constipation issues and digestive issues, then that conversion isn't happening properly. So then you're being told you're hypothyroid, but you're really not hypothyroid. You're hypofunctioning colon, which is making your thyroid not be able to get the job done in the long run. So the entire body is interconnected. And if you're not doing proper testing, then we're not going to get all those answers.
Right. I can see there are some of the comments here. Pity Owl has written that I have type 1 diabetes, MS, and thyroid conditions, all 3.
Yep. Yeah.
And Tag 18 has written, my mother has thyroid issues and CREST syndrome. Both my sister and I have MS. No coincidence. Yes, people are agreeing that yes, this is a relationship. And I can see one question here. Saras has written, okay, I had a post about infrared sauna today. So he's written, what's infrared sauna? And is there any relationship between the symptoms of MS that can be treated with this?
Yeah, so infrared sauna is an amazing tool to detox your body. So there are protocols out there that are to first start detoxing, like actually getting some drainage open. And then once the drainage is open, so you're going to the bathroom every day, you're supporting the liver, then sweat so that you can start sweating, which helps to pull toxins out of your body because sweating gets that detox going. And then bind, which would be to use binders depending upon what you have going on. So if you have mold, the binder you'd want to use, in my opinion, I use biotoxin binder from Cellcore, which I have in my online shop. And then if you use HMET binder, that's for heavy metals, environmental toxins like glyphosates and things like that to bind up. And it's that process of step by step by step flushing toxins out. So if you have heavy metals, glyphosate, if you're doing parasite cleanses or Lyme detoxes, right? It's start that detox, sweat it out, bind it up. And infrared saunas are a great tool for that detox process because they make you sweat. And so many people with MS, Lyme, parasites, it's hard for them to get out and go work out hard enough to really get that sweat going. And by sweating, you're cleaning your lymph out, which is one of those drainage funnel pieces.
So how often can they do this sauna?
You know, I have clients that are doing it every single day for up to an hour. If you're doing it that much, though, you have to support your body with the proper nutrition. So you're going to want to be taking minerals every single day, which if you were to see my desk over here right now, I've got all kinds of things. We're experimenting with things, which I guess I can pick my phone up and show that. I got to make sure there's no patient data over here. But I've got all these bottles next to me, right? So I do everything I tell you guys to do. I always experiment on myself first, which is why so many of those things are just white labels. It's because we're experimenting and trying to figure out how do we get the mitochondria to work better? How do we get minerals in your tissue so you absorb them? Because by the way, everyone, just drinking water will not hydrate you alone. You have to put electrolytes with the water so that your body can absorb it because it's an equilibrium of electrolytes and water in your body. Just simply drinking tons and tons of pure water or reverse osmosis water, which is some of the best water, will actually dehydrate you in the long run.
Oh, really? So if someone has to mix electrolytes and drink water, so should that person do it every day, or is it?
Yeah, so here's my water bottle, which I've been wanting to drink out of, but I'm trying not to do it too much. I would do this every single day. So I take my water bottle with every single time that I do that, I drop my mineral in it, which I've already done today, but I wanted to make sure everyone saw it. And I do that every single time that I fill my water bottle up because we do have a filter on there. We know there's nothing in this water. There's no minerals. And if you think way back, they're like, well, everybody didn't add minerals 1,000 years ago. No, we're drinking river water, which rubs up against rocks all day and gives you minerals into the water.
Tag has written, what about pH water?
pH water. So pH water can be good. Most of us live in an acidic lifestyle. So we're eating foods that are processed. We're not eating as clean as we should. I know there's a lot of people out there that are eating clean, but those that are not, probably eating a little more acidic, especially if you're eating your glutens, your dairies, your processed foods, eating out. And then simply being sick leads to more acidic body. pH water typically is going to be a higher pH, which is alkaline. Acidic would be lower, which would be acid-based. So we want to raise the pH in a lot of cases. The danger here is people get on pH water and then they stay on pH water all the time. And the kidneys need you to, and the body, the blood needs to stay at a very specific pH, which is in the 7s. And if you're drinking 10 pH water all the time, it actually can damage your kidney long term. So you've got to be very careful to make sure to balance your body so you can get some of those strips that you can put on your tongue or pee on it. And just make sure you're keeping yourself in the 7s. The problem is your body will always keep you there, even at a detriment. So just don't overuse pH water. You know, if you're getting a water bottle of a 16-ounce pH water, do that once a day. Don't do that all day, every day. I know there's filters out there that can change your water, and that's all people drink, which actually in the long run can be too much because everything we do in health has to be at a balance. You know, it's got to be in an equilibrium. The human body is a balance. We are full of bacteria and parasites and viruses, and we always will be. It's not about annihilation of every bug. It's about living in balance.
I can see Tag again just writing the question that I've been drinking chlorophyll ES drops in my water for 15 years now. Is there something more can I put in my water?
So chlorophyll is a great binder, right? So it's a good light binder, honestly. It's not a really strong binder. You know, for me, I put Cellcore's bioactive carbon minerals in my water that has a fulvic humic mix with 71 different minerals. And that fulvic humic mix helps to drive those minerals further into your body by the minerals being attached with some carbons, and your body really wants to soak up that fulvic humic because fulvic humic is 3 things: oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon. And guess what our bodies are made out of? So the body sucks that stuff right up, pulling the minerals into us. And it's been really effective. I've even seen with some autistic kids, and because I work a lot with children. So I've seen a lot of autistic kids or PANS kids and depression, anxiety kids, where I'll give them an entire ounce of minerals, and then all of a sudden you just see the lights turn on in their brain. And it's not any minerals, the cell core minerals, because it gets it into the body, it's sucking up, and it gets those minerals to the brain, where our brain's made out of all of these things, these tissues, these electrolytes. So by sucking it up, it really, really has helped people be well. So yeah, I put those in your water. And then my secondary thing, which if you ever follow me, I have MitoATP on there. That's my morning pick-me-up. I don't drink coffee. I put my mitochondrial stuff and my minerals in, and I feed the body what it wants versus, not that coffee's bad in any way, it's great, but versus caffeine, I'm doing the minerals and mito.
Doctor, since we're talking about minerals, is there any kind of supplements that you would like to suggest to us that people should take on a daily basis?
It's just those two that I was just talking about, and I guess I can grab them.
Can you
fun thing about having a phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
The bioactive carbon minerals from Cellcore, that's the minerals I've been talking about. And then the MitoATP for the mitochondria is another one that I was talking about. And that was this guy right here. They are on my site, like I was saying earlier. I'm also, while we're talking, going to try and find a plug-in because my phone just told me that it's going low. So
yeah, of course.
We'll just keep on going, and everybody can see the insides of my office.
Sure. Doesn't matter. You can take your time.
No, I'm all right. I got the cord already.
Okay, great. I can see one question coming up for a second time by Nato Hoffman, and she has written that if my aunt has Spina Bifida and I have MS, is it related somehow?
Spina Bifida and MS. So Spina Bifida would be something that's genetic, found in the womb. So I would think that potentially I'm more concerned about you having something in your environment that has led to. So I'm thinking maybe we have some sort of toxicity that we're dealing with versus some kind of other situation there. So do we have heavy metals in your environment? Do we have toxins in the environment that has led to people becoming more ill? That's something that we're looking into right now for a lot of neurological things, such as autism. Is it something in the environment? I went to the big clinics in the United States and I just pulled off their website, what is the cause of autism? And it said potentially toxicities during pregnancy. So I would say spina bifida might be related more to that. MS, then, yes, you can absolutely get a lot of toxins before you're born. There's actually a study from Environmental Workers Group that shows, and then I think Europe did the same study again, and the average was about 200 chemicals that can cause cancer are transferred through the umbilical cord from mother to baby at birth. That's the average number they found. Well, those chemicals also can cause genetic mutation. So spina bifida, MS, both could be correlated in with that. And then MS can also be correlated in with just getting it once you're born and alive too. So, yeah, there you go.
Wow. Okay, that's very scary. Actually, when we talk about the environment and toxicity we are living in, it's actually quite maddening. I can see other question by Nancy Ortiz 87. She has written, does it also cause hyperthyroidism? I have MS and also had subclinical hypothyroidism.
Well, so there's a couple things that bring to mind with that situation. I would first want to ask you, are you on medication for your thyroid? And if so, is it hyperthyroidism because of the body? Meaning we have a TSI elevation, which is the thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin. Or is this a medication issue? Because more often than not, I have people come in that are over medicated, and that's.
She has written that she's not in medications.
Okay. So then make sure you have your TSI checked, because we want to make sure that we have the hyperthyroidism due to the immunoglobulin, and that could go back to mercury. And if you have mercury, then that could be causing both of the situations you're dealing with. Mercury comes from a lot of places, but amalgams, meaning dental amalgams, are one of the most common places that I start with, looking for the mercury, where it's coming from, and then we just got to start getting it out.
Okay. So yeah, she has written again that no medicines, just subclinical, all is well now. Okay. I've got another question from Sam214 for doctor. She has written, is there any suggestion for electrolyte composition to look for in the supplements available locally?
It's very difficult to say the composition. Honestly, most of the ones I use tend to source their electrolytes from different places like the salt mines in Utah. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't buy that all around the world, because a lot of places are sourcing from there. And that's usually the one that I find to be the best, because it's more absorbable when it comes together and somebody didn't artificially put it together. And there's 71 minerals in there, which I guess that's way over there now. 71 minerals in there versus somebody just putting together, here's some magnesium, calcium, potassium, sodiums. We're looking at the trace minerals of chromiums, molybdenum, boron, even getting into the lithium and some of the other ones that are a little bit more rare that you're not usually going to find in your big box type of trace mineral. You can buy the one that I suggested online all over, and there's probably some other ones. I'm just very careful with my suggestions, because I work with so many very chronically ill people that if I don't trust the supplement, I have a really hard time recommending it, because I want to give people stuff that I know works, that changes blood work, that changes urine tests, that changes hair mineral tests. I don't want to recommend things that, there was a study that came out in the New York Times that showed that there was some big box stores that literally had nothing in their supplements. It was like rice powder and things.
Oh God. Okay, I know, but it's just that everybody here with us is from different country, so they just get they want to know that what should we actually look for. But yes, everybody's aware. Sometimes you get cheated. You don't know what you're actually having it. Yeah.
Well, I do know that Cellcore ships worldwide, and I work with people from India to Europe to Thailand to the United States, and there's a country, Amrita, which is in the UK, that ships internationally also. And that's how I get a lot of supplements out to people. I'm not affiliated with them. It's just we know that they carry a lot of really great stuff. So that's how we do that.
Okay. Doctor, I can see on the question by Wrestle News, and he has written, Doctor, can you tell me what CBC test and about CBC test and how often should we do it?
CBC, meaning the blood panel here. CBCs,
yes.
I tend to run a new blood panel on people anywhere between 3 and 6 months apart, depending upon how bad they are, how chronic they are, and what we're doing for them. If the first one comes back that we have a flipped neutrophil lymphocyte ratio, so neutrophils should be at 60%, lymphocytes should be at 30%, eosinophils should be below 5, and monocytes should be below 7. These are types of white blood cells. That's honestly the biggest piece that I focus on, because it's the thing that I see the most in autoimmune patients that are flipped. If your lymphocytes go higher than your neutrophils, then that means we have an autoimmune flare happening or some sort of inflammatory situation. So because we have that going on, I know that we're in a space right now where the body's flared up. So I run it a little bit more often, trying to make sure that we bring that down. And then once I know that the symptoms are down, I'm definitely going to rerun that test. If you have other things going on, such as a hemoglobin that's low, or red blood cell that's low, white blood cell that's low, that'll also make me run it a little more often, more toward the 3-month than the 6-month. But CBC is just the beginning. I also want to know, do we have C-reactive protein, which is an inflammatory marker that's produced by the liver? If that's elevated, to know that we have some infections and toxins going on. Along with a CMP, looking at your liver and your alkaphosphas, your kidneys. If those are low, then your body's fairly weak. If they're high, then we know that we're fairly toxic. And a homocysteine, the full thyroid, if your cholesterol is low, that is a very bad sign for me with MS clients, because cholesterol is fat. Fat is what you make the myelin sheath out of, that's wrapped around your nerves. So if we have low cholesterol, I start getting concerned and really put you on a lot of fat in your diet and a lot of omega fatty acids to make sure that we're supplying the body, so that once we get the immune system reaction down, we have the supply to keep that healthy.
Yes, so you know what happens that because people have MS, they want to, some of them can't exercise, so they control their diet because they don't want to gain weight. Because if someone has any kind of problems in the legs, if they gain weight, their leg would be, having more problems than ever. So they control the fat intake that they are taking in the body. So, like you said, fat is also important because it helps to manage the balance sheet, to develop the balance sheet. So what do you suggest, like what all kind of fat should a person be taking? Is it like omega fat capsules a person can take? Other than that, what all can a person should take?
Yeah, so if we're talking about diet and then types of fat, so I'm a bit more on the balanced diet to the low carb diet for most of the clients I work with. I find that in a lot of studies that I've read, high carbohydrate diets flare autoimmunity. So I tend to shift people to where they're 30% or less on the carbs, and then they're 40% or so on fat. And the fats that I'm recommending are going to be things like avocado, almond, walnut, coconut oils. So those sorts of things dietarily, like edible. And then as far as supplementation, yes, the omega fatty acids from fish oils, but the fish oils have to be very, very clean. A lot of fish oils carry within them something called deuterium, which is a radioactive element that has gotten into our waters from things like Fukushima. So deuterium can help to break down the body also. And then people have been taking fish oils for years. I'll do a hair mineral analysis and find uranium levels that are very high. So make sure you're getting a very high quality, not a low quality on your fish oils. But I always prefer people to eat their food, eat their supplements that they can, because I'm so much of a let's get you well and get you off of all these supplements. I'm terrible at taking supplements. I'm awful. I'll admit that first and foremost. It is a pain for me because I'm all over the place, and I'm like, I want to go have fun and do everything. I'm living life vibrantly because I got through Lyme and I enjoy life even more now. But so that's why I'm always all about the diet, right? I'm all about like, let's eat it. So let's throw avocado with everything. I love avocado on about everything these days. But if that's not something for you because you have a histamine issue, then definitely look at the nuts. If you have the autoimmunity and you can't have the nuts, then look at getting some quality organic, beefs or meats. If you're a vegetarian, then, put some coconut oil onto your food when you're cooking it or into your food. Make some fat bombs. So you can make some coconut, and then even put a little stevia in there and it tastes like chocolate fat bombs. So I'm all about finding ways around it. And as you just heard me list off 10 different if, ands, or buts. Yeah, let's be specific to the person or to the diet. There's always a way. There's always a way. And that's the key that everybody has to get in the mindset of, especially those that are autoimmune, MS, Lyme. You just find a way. And that's what so many of the people that are watching right now, they're finding a way. They're researching, they're listening, they're learning. You're out here with doctors, you're giving information because there is a way to get well. There is always hope. So just keep fighting.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Thank you. Okay, so Holy Jaban has written, what is considered a low cholesterol level? If you have to give any number, doctor.
Yeah, anything below 140, I start getting concerned. I was trained when I was going through some functional medicine training at below 140 before pharma got involved with the statins was actually considered a sign of death. So if you had below 140, they started trying to figure out what was going on and why your body was breaking down. So I kind of took that with me. And although I'm not sure that I want to use the verbiage like it's a sign of death with clients that are in my room and scare them, but I'm like, hey, let's start building this back up. Then the National Institute of Health here in the United States said earlier in 2019 that below 160 was actually not ideal. because
Okay.
the studies were starting to show that people didn't feel as well below 160. So I tend to try and keep people at least 160 to 180. If you're a female over the age of 60, there's a lot of evidence out there showing that 200 plus is more ideal. Even 265 in one study was higher, and that was more ideal for a longer, more vibrant life for those over 65. Although I don't know that I can stand on that evidence fully yet. So I still tend to stick somewhere between that 160 to 200 is mostly ideal. And anytime that you shift your diet to where 40% of the fat is, or 40% of your diet calorically is fat, typically that starts to raise it unless you have a very bad digestive system where you're not absorbing well. And if you're having a hard time with fat, for all of those who I usually, when I say these things, I get a lot of questions like, well, I can't handle fat. Check your gallbladder. If you have a gallbladder issue, then you're not tolerating fat. If you don't have a gallbladder, then you just need to be on support for gallbladder, maybe always. And the things that you need to look for on that is a product called Tudka, and it is outstanding for gallbladders and liver detox. Tudka is phenomenal. It has been revolutionary to people that are having difficulty with fats, belching, digestive issues. Even it helps with constipation because it increases bile salt production, and bile salts help to be an enzyme for your body. They help to detox you. So they're incredible. So bile salts are so important to use, and Tudka has been just life-changing for so many of the clients I've worked with.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, doctor. And the question I can see here, someone, Alicia Pancha has written, is vegan alternatives good? I
Are
mean, there's so
vegan
many people.
alternatives?
Yeah, there's so many theories going on about swank diet and Terry Watts diet and keto diet and paleo diet. Some say only be plant-based, some say go vegan, some say no, have lots of fat with animal meat. What is your personal suggestion?
So here's my thing, and this drives people nuts because I won't give them a straight answer. There is no one best diet.
Okay.
Diet variation is ideal. So I personally think that if we go back to nomad times, people start saying, well, they were paleo. Well, yeah, sure, they were paleo at some times, but they were also vegan at times, and they were also carnivore at times. Because if you live in a place, say, Northern America, it's very, very wintry. You know, you have snow. So what are you eating? You're probably eating deer or animal that's going to be able to, so you're eating more of a carnivore like diet during that period of the winter. And in the summer, you're able to get berries, you're able to get things that you can forage more easily. So maybe you're almost
Yeah.
vegan. And in the fall, you're getting more into that paleo. In the spring, maybe you're a little bit more salads or with a little bit of meat and fish because you're starting to fish. So the diet that I typically recommend is the one that people either feel good on or is honestly lower carb. So I'm more on a macro side of things. I don't think that people should be vegan long term. I don't think people should be keto long term. I don't think people should be carnivore long term because I think there's nutrients that are missing. Can you be vegan and get all the nutrients? Yes. But you have to be very meticulous with choosing the foods that you're getting. And most people I've ran into are not that meticulous. There are some, and if you are that person, more power to you. But for me, it's variation. So if you want to do a vegan summer and a paleo fall and a low carb, almost more hardy winter, and then again, I'm never going to tell you to go high on that chart of carbs, but more of a Mediterranean low carb spring. I honestly see that being very beneficial for people because I see people feeling better that way. That variation makes sure that you get more nutrients in. And anybody that sticks to one style of dieting year round, you will find your way to being deficient in something.
Right. Doctor, I have to tell you this that we've been speaking for last 50 minutes now. And after 10 minutes, the Instagram will get cut, of course.
Yep.
And I can see around 4 or 5 more questions to answer, but it's up to you. Do you have time to continue after this, or should we just wrap up in 5 minutes?
Well, we can do the 60-minute Instagram window, do 10 more minutes and call it a day.
Sure, absolutely. So I'll quickly run through the questions I have so you can see. So along with the diet thing, someone has asked about the fasting, and I also have questions about probiotics and soy products.
All right, so we've got diet, fasting, soy, and you said one more thing.
Probiotics.
Probiotics.
Yeah.
All right. So, because I forgot about probiotics, I'll probably forget again because it's not a topic I'm on all the time. Probiotics are useful, but if you have parasites in your digestive tract, it's like throwing a squirt gun into a house fire. It's just not enough. So probiotics are more toward the end of my protocols. I usually finish up with that, reclaiming the gut. I would rather see people do fermented food. I find that to be more effective in the long term because probiotics are like 12 strains maybe of bacteria, whereas your digestive tract, we've named 40,000. So we just don't have the technology at this point to get all of the different types of bacteria fed. The most effective thing you can do for your gut is heal it from the parasites and the pathogenic bacteria and the fungus, and then eat the widest variety of food you can. Because the more variety of a diet you have, the more strains of bacteria you're going to feed, the better your digestive tract health is going to be. So that's my short, sweet talk on probiotics. Then we get back to soy.
Sorry, yes.
In the United States, there's no such thing as a clean soy, so I stay away from soy. Unfortunately, that's just the truth of the matter here. We have made ours GMO and toxic as can be. So I just steer clear of it most of the time. If you can source a GMO free and organic soy, then it's not such a bad thing. Because I mean, if we look to Japan and we see that they have lots of fermented soy and tons of soy in their diet, and they honestly, from the studies I've seen and the people I talk to, you see that even with all that soy, they don't have high risks of certain types of soy-related cancers or estrogen-related cancers. And their women tend not to have nearly the difficulty with menopause because they are artificially giving themselves plant-based estrogens that come from the soy. So again, if you can find a clean soy, I'm not all against it. But finding that in my country is just not something I've been able to do.
We do not know that what are we eating. How do we know how it is actually made? It is GMO or not. It's just not mentioned on the labels.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty I'm running into, which is why I steer clear. There are some people out there that are far better than I am at finding those things out, or maybe they source it locally from farmers. More power to you if you're doing that. For me, well, I'm also male. I'm not a huge fan of having a ton of soy because it raises estrogen a little bit. And as a guy that loves to work out, which is why I've got this bottle here that's like this, and I've got all my Mito, and I'm getting ready to go work out afterward. My friends are in my gym at 11 o'clock, so that's where I'm going from here. And then back to the diet and fasting. I'll just give my diet. My diet is a paleo-ish, organic-free, gluten-free, or not organic free. It's organic, gluten-free, dairy-free, low-carb diet, mostly year-round, that I rotate times of the year where it's more plant-based. Although I personally love, love, love meat, I know that I can't live on pure meat always. Even to all of you carnivores out there, I think it should be a rotation. I probably could live a carnivore lifestyle. I just don't, I can't adhere to that being a lifetime. I can adhere to that being a shock to the body 1 or 2 months and then back to other types of diets. And fasting is incredible. I can't stand it because I love food, but it is so good for me. I do it all the time. You know, sometimes it's a love-hate relationship. Fasting has been revolutionary to my practice because I used to, at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., I would have clients come in and bring me food when they came in, little old ladies that were so sweet because they would know. They're like, "Are you hungry?" "Yeah, I'm starving." And they're like, "But you got 2 more hours till you get off." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. And I'm just pushing through." Or I'd have snacks there and they knew it. Well, I went to a conference, and this conference, they're like, "Hey, by the way, we're fasting you, and then we're going to do a study on the entire 300 people that are here, and we're going to see if coffee stimulates more ketones and this and that. So they're like, just start. I had food under my chair that I brought with me because I always packed food, because the breaks in a seminar were too long for me to go, and I would start losing brain function. I would start having blood sugar crashes, and I thought that was just the way it was because I ate every 2 hours because I'm a lifter, a bodybuilder. I thought, oh, you got to do that to get muscle and to recover and to feel well and to get your testosterone up. My mind was blown at this conference because fasting, after I started doing it, now I can go 24 hours. I can go 72 hours without needing food. And my brain, the acuity gets better the longer I go into a 24-hour fast. Now, 72-hour gets a little bit harder, but my strength gains shot up. My athletic performance shot up. I stopped cramping during workouts. So that got better. I mean, the list of things that you can look up in the studies, your growth hormone after 5 days spikes up to 2,000%, which is healing to your body. You detox out metals. So I've had people that get 2 days in, 3 days into a fast, and they start detoxing out toxic metals into their urine, and we've tested it. So fasting can help you with detox, healing, and at 5 days, you also stimulate stem cells, which can go to your brain and help you heal things like neurodegenerative diseases. So fasting should be a tool in everyone's tool belt, but you have to use it intelligently, because if your body is too sick to do it, meaning your lactate dehydrogenase is low, your GGT is low, your creatine, your kidneys, your liver enzymes, your cholesterol, any of those are low, you're going to have a really hard time fasting. So I know I'm running into that time where Instagram's going to cut me off, but fasting is an incredible tool when your body's ready.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for helping us answer all our questions today. I can see I have so many questions again, but I think we are over 60 minutes, and we can probably do this sometime again and answer the questions again. And it was incredible knowing such interesting things from you, and things which we have never even thought of, like the minerals and all, and fasting. Such an important and positive feedback about fasting. And since intermittent fasting is becoming a fad nowadays, and everybody is doing it, someone talking positively about such things, which really motivates all of us. Thank you so much for all your time, Doctor, and this was really great that you accepted this and you helped all of us answer our questions today. Thank you so much, and have a good day, Doctor.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thanks, Doctor. Bye. Thank you guys for being here, and Dr. Moore was incredible. And I have to say, if you want to find out more information, you should actually visit his profile, Instagram profile. He has tons of videos, and he's talking about fasting, and he's talking about infrared, mitochondria, adrenal fatigue, and so many things in his IGTV. It's fabulous and full of information. So you can actually log on to his website and also visit his Instagram page. At the same time, I have to apologize. Some of you, I could not answer your questions since we were running out of time, but nevertheless, we'll meet next time again, and we'll try to answer all your pending questions and new questions. So we'll meet again next week, and if you have any kind of suggestions to give us with respect to what all topics you want to know from the doctors more, and what kind of doctors you want to meet, let us know, and we will take your suggestions and review them, and we'll get back to you. Thank you so much once again for joining us. Namaste. Have a good day. Bye.